I'm Dr. Bosher P. Jordan Jr., pastor and founder of Hope Alive Outreach. And we're here today to give some hope. That's right. Not dope, but hope to people who suffer from the disease of addiction, primarily drugs and alcohol, and also their families. And we are here every first Wednesday of the month from 6 to 7 p.m. And we have guests who either work in the field or individuals who are in recovery or in sobriety to give a message of hope to those listeners, no matter where you are. You can be on Facebook, you can be on YouTube, you can be on our website, hopealiveoutreach.org. And we're trying our best to get a message of hope because there's so many people who are dying today, especially in this epidemic, drug and alcohol epidemic, in the midst of a disease pandemic. And so we do hope and pray that you will share this broadcast with your friends, your relatives. You can text someone and tell them that the Hope Doctor is on the air right now. And so if you'd like to donate toward our outreach, there are 5 different ways in which you can do that. You can send it through PayPal, through Cash App, through a check or money order. You can go to our website, hopealiveoutreach.org. But whatever you do, every dime that you send to us, and we are a tax deductible 501c3 organization. It's going to go right back into our ministry to help others. And also, you all have heard about my book, The Pipe and the Pulpit. This book here has been out for a couple of years now, and we've been advertising. Well, I've got a new book out now, and this new book out is called Beyond the Pipe and the Pulpit. And this book gears it up. It steps it up a little bit, and it deals with things with persons who are in the pandemic and in this epidemic. How to get some recovery, where to go, and also it talks a little bit about some stories of my personal experience, some very interesting, provocative stories that I have in there, some very interesting things in there that happen to individuals who are using a drink or a drug, but also how do you recover and how do you get into sobriety? Well, I want to bring our guest on right now. We have 2 guests this afternoon. Our co-host, Nicole, had some family issues, and we do hope and pray that our other co-host, Clay, will be with us. But nevertheless, I want to introduce, first of all, our guests. If our producer will bring them on. All right. Well, first of all, we have Bessie. And Bessie is here today, and she flew in from the north side of St. Petersburg, Florida. How you doing, Bessie?
I'm good. I'm Betsy, and I'm an addict.
All right, and we got Herb flowing all the way from Baltimore, from that cold weather up there down here. His spirit is down here where we got 70-degree weather, 75-degree weather today, and we thank God for you, Herb. Glad to have you. How you doing, Herb?
I'm fine. I'm Herb. I'm an alcoholic. Glad to be here.
All right. Well, today we want to give a message of hope to persons who are listening, and we're going to be talking about your experiences with the second step. Now, those of you all who this may be your first time listening to us, and while you're listening, if you can ask a question or you can make a statement, and we'll try to respond to it in the chat. Okay. But what we're going to be doing is we're going to be talking today about the second step, and that second step. This is a book entitled Serenity, and I use this book on a regular basis throughout wherever I'm doing outreach. I use this book because this book not only has the 12 steps in it, but beside each step there is a spiritual component which comes from the Bible, and it explains each step through the AA process, NA process, but also through the spiritual process, the Word of God. Let me just read something here from the book Serenity before we ask our guests to give their experiences with the second step. On page 27 in the book called Serenity, step 2. Step 2 says, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. The step 2 phrase, came to believe, suggests a process and a progression of faith that evolves over time. A portion of AA's oral tradition defines this as a three-part unfolding. First, we came. That is, we showed up and stumbled in the door. Second, we came to. That is, we sobered up, came to our senses, and began to experience emotional sobriety. Third, we came to believe. We began our real recovery process and our spiritual growth. This style of spiritual growth closely parallels the strong Christian tradition that each person may come to an individual knowledge of the God of their understanding. Let's go with the women first. Could you introduce yourself and just tell us a little bit about yourself and your experience with the second step, Betsy?
Hi, I'm Betsy, and I am an addict. The second step to me, there was just a big void in my life after I had worked the first step. I was trying to figure out what that power greater than myself was going to be. I grew up in a Southern Baptist family, and it was brutal. The God that I grew up with was very, very punishing, and I needed love. I needed love. I needed to feel a part of, and I needed acceptance. And I had to figure out what my God was. Who my God was, loving and caring and trusted me, and and I knew in my heart that there was hope. If I'd gotten clean, if I'd stopped smoking crack in Baltimore, then I was gonna, I knew I had to find it, and I had to find peace, and that's all I ever wanted. How long do I have, Basha?
Oh, we're going back and forth. It's an
Oh,
open discussion.
okay.
You can share 4 or 5 minutes, 5 minutes.
Okay.
Then we'll come to Herb, and then I'll throw out some questions just to stimulate. And then if we have some questions from persons who are listening, we'll throw them out so that we can address these issues as well. So go ahead.
Okay. I've worked the 12 steps in several fellowships, and right now I'm working the second step in a book called The Gentle Path Through the 12 Steps. And I'm doing it with a woman in a 12-step church that she's trying to help me with.
Would that program be Celebrate Recovery?
Yes.
It is.
I have the book, A Gentle Path, and
okay.
I happened to be working the second step with her. I've also worked the 12 steps with in a Nar-Anon program because I have a daughter that is in the midst of addiction. Ironically, my daughter 2 weeks ago, I had detached with love because I knew she was in my soul and my heart, I couldn't deal with her addiction anymore. And I felt that she was going to die, and I couldn't fix her. I couldn't, she just did too many really, really horrible things to me and my family.
How old is your daughter, Betsy? How old is your daughter?
41.
Okay.
41. And instead of the phone call that she was dead, she was at shock trauma in Baltimore, and she had just had her leg removed. And and as a mother, you're thinking, okay, this is a con. She's lying to me. And but then I called the hospital and they verified it. The part of me that wants to, I'm a mother. I ran right up there. And I just hope that, first thing I asked her, have you had enough pain? Are you done? And she said, what do you think, Mom? 5 years of not talking to her, all the anger, all the pain was gone. All I could do was, go up there and be her advocate. I couldn't stop the pain. I couldn't stop anything because she'd been on drugs so long, nothing was working for the pain.
Act like she was glad to see you?
Yes. I was the only one to go to see her. I had to fly up. I had to take care of her, be her advocate, let the social workers know that, yes, she is an IV drug user. Do not let her, don't let her minimize her addiction, please.
When you're dealing with your children, how would you say the second step kicked in there when you were if you hadn't talked to your daughter for 5 years and now you're there, you're really ministering to your daughter, showing her some love. How did the second step kick in?
It kicked in because I knew I couldn't fix it. I couldn't cure her. I couldn't do anything. All I could do was pray and hope that she was actually going to get it this time. And I also thank God that it was a miracle that she got the second chance. It's a second chance for her. And she doesn't see it that way right now, but I see it as a second chance. It's about acceptance too. I have to figure all this out with her. I don't know where it's going to go from here.
Yeah, we've got some persons who are signing in, who are listening. And I just want to say, if you have some questions or comments, please do that so that we might be able to address some concerns that you have. Let's jump over there to Herb from Baltimore. Herb, just introduce yourself a little bit. How long you've been around and what your experience is with this second step.
Yeah, I'm Herb. I'm an alcoholic. My sobriety date is March 31st, 2016. When I came to AA, so I break the second step into 3 steps for me. I came to believe. So when I came, that was really a big step for me. I had been drinking 40 years at the time I came in 2016. Basha, when I know you back in college and all, I was already, 3 or 4 years into drinking heavily. We had a good time. It really got me going in my drinking. So for me to come to, I went to AA. For me to go to AA was no light thing. That I had gone to a meeting once before, and I didn't find it. I didn't look that hard either, but I didn't find it. And the second time, I really looked for it, and I found it here in Baltimore. And I remember going to the meeting, and I saw on TV where people say I'm an alcoholic and all that, and I didn't want to say that. I said, I ain't saying. I'll go to the meeting, but I ain't gonna be saying I'm an alcoholic.
Okay.
To my left, stood up and said he was an alcoholic, and I looked at him and said, "All right, that's good for you." The guy next to me was new too. He stood up and he said he was alcoholic. And I said, "Well," and I just felt I had to. I stood up, and that was the first time I was an alcoholic. That was so freeing for me that I publicly admitted that I was an alcoholic and did it myself. So I came. But then the next step was I came to. My only reason going to trying to find out how I can not drink on the week, so I can learn to drink on the weekends, control drinking. And it was after about 3 or 4 meetings in AA that I realized that I had a disease and that I couldn't drink it again in my life. I call that the came to. I realized how serious, how insane, how bad off I really was, and that this was no light thing. Then I came to believe. I'm an ordained minister. I have a ministry, pastoring with Army chaplain, and so on and so forth. So a lot of my drinking was in the church, in the leadership of the church, and I had some bad experience, and I walked away from the church at the time I came into. I wasn't attending church. I wasn't pastoring anymore. So I still believed in God. I still prayed every day. I even read my Bible every day. But I really didn't think God helped me because I asked him so many times and I was still drinking. But I really believed in AA. I came to believe in what they said. Down the road, I had that experience where I got back closer to the Lord, to God, who I call my higher power.
Herb, did you have a congregation
at the time I came in?
Did you ever have a congregation during the time you were drinking?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And did it ever come a time when any members of your congregation knew you were drinking?
Yeah. Well, actually, I was a couple of times drunk at pulpit. One Easter morning, I was stumbling up there, and I had 5 services by the fifth. I was wasted. Um, my,
You're breaking up.
non-denominational. Is
Yeah.
that some Basha?
No, I said that you were breaking up. I don't know what
Oh,
the
can you hear me now?
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
You said something about you had 5 services.
Yeah, that day. So my last church before I left the church, that church I was very busy. We weren't a mega church or anything, but we had quite a few services. So anyway, yeah, I was
Well,
drinking.
let me just say this. I'm a minister as well. I've been ministering for 44 years. You're a minister. One of the things I think that we need to communicate to the public, and that is that it doesn't make any difference how much education that you have, where you've come from, what your profession is. Alcoholism and drug addiction can meet anybody anywhere. Would you agree with that, Betsy?
Definitely. It affects all of us.
Yes, and so therefore, I'm quite sure. I know all of us have had some experiences that may have been traumatizing to us and people around us. But you mentioned that you would. Did you say that you were in the pulpit drunk once?
Well, once that was very detectable. I was in the pulpit drunk quite a few times. I did alcohol. I deceived myself enough to think that the alcohol made me preach better. So I would drink before service started, and
really.
So
that might have gone over a little better if you were a priest and you had a bottle of wine.
Well, I was a Lutheran pastor, so we had wine. So yeah, I mean, wine was on the altar and all, So really? They can't know if it's coming from me or from the wine, Really? And it was acceptable. A lot of pastors drank before the service. I mean, that was one of the things we would tell young pastors. You got your seminary education. There's some other little things you need, and. So yeah, as you said, Bosh, alcohol don't care who you are or who you think you are. It will get you if you.
Well, one of the things about this our society is that alcohol is acceptable more so than drugs. What was your drug of choice, Betsy?
Well, the first time around, my drug of choice was cocaine, but then I had 4 back surgeries and I had 17 years clean, and I lost my clean time to opiates, pain management, and that turned into my drug of choice.
Okay.
My drug of choice is more.
What profession have you been in?
I was a driver for UPS. My daddy told me to get a man's job, so I never had to depend on a man.
Really?
Great advice.
It was good advice?
Yes.
Did that pan out okay? But anyhow,
I'm living the dream in paradise, yes.
All right. So when we talk about this second step, when did you really come to believe in a power greater than yourself? And the reason why I'm saying that is because I'm like you, Betsy. I was raised up in the church. But because I was raised up in the church doesn't mean that I knew I really knew God for myself. When did you begin to know God for yourself, and what happened? Go ahead, Betsy.
I kind of had a spiritual awakening. My spiritual awakening was the realization that my God was loving and caring. I didn't need to be in church to feel God. I realized that there were no coincidences. Every time something happened that was good, and it was a coincidence, but I thought it was God. And I realized every time I meditated, that was God talking to me. I was listening to his answers. And my God has, changed over the years, but I talk to him daily. And like I said, my God is loving. My God is, I can feel him. He's tangible. And he's not the God that I grew up with. The God I grew up with, if you looked at somebody wrong, you were going to hell. And that's so I sometimes I tease people and I say, I'm a recovering Southern Baptist.
Really? Okay. Well, I guess that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah. And it does. God doesn't need to be abusive for to keep you in line. I have a really good conscience, and I listen today. I listen to my God, and I'm at peace. Finally, after all these years, I'm finally at peace with everything that happens.
How did your sponsor fit into your second step? Either one of you.
Go ahead.
Herb?
Yeah, when I came into the rooms,
for those, some people may not know what a sponsor is, so if you can kind of clarify that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, sponsor, at least for me, again, I'm an alcoholic. Someone who kind of mentors you, leads you through the 12 steps, there for you on hopefully a daily basis, especially when you early parts of your recovery. For me, every day I spoke with my sponsor, saw him every day at meetings, but pretty much like a mentor, someone to be there for you and walk you through the 12 steps. I came to believe when I came into the rooms, I did not grow up in the church, but I did see Christ and went to seminary and became a pastor. But again, when I came into AA, I had pushed the church to the side, but not God. Well, when I came into the rooms, I came to believe in the room, in AA. I really trusted the people I saw there. I didn't believe a lot of them that said they were 30-some years sober, but anyway. But as I got to know them, I began to see they were really true, and I believed them. About 3 or 4 months into AA, I heard someone speak one day, and he talked about how God had led them to the meetings, was already working behind the scenes even before he came into AA. And when he had said that, he said it in a way that really clicked with me, and I could really see even to the day how God was working with me pre-AA, pre-recovery, brought me into the rooms, and with it, I look at it even tonight and sharing with you and hopefully helping some people out with their addiction that I came to believe. So I came to believe in a power greater than myself, and I call that AA at first, and a few months later, a spiritual awakening that, I'm sorry, state your name again, ma'am?
Betsy?
Betsy. So that was more educational for me. It took me a little process of time. Then I reconnected with God. After I did that, I got back in church, and right now, that's all I have to say. I don't know
okay.
If you hear me or not.
We have a book. It's for Narcotics Anonymous. It works how and why, and this book on page 17 under step 2, and I want to read what the step is again. We came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. And let me just say that in this step, it's actually saying between the lines that when we used a drink and a drug, we were insane. That's really what it's saying. So this second step is to bring us closer to sanity through a power greater than ourselves. Our surrender in the first step leaves us with a deep need to believe that we can recover. This surrender makes it possible for us to feel hope. By admitting our own powerlessness, we open our minds to an entirely new idea, the possibility that something greater than ourselves might be powerful enough to relieve our obsession to use drugs. And I'll take it one step further. We begin to believe that a power greater than ourselves could relieve our obsession to use a drink or a drug. And I want to say this, even though our focus is giving hope to people who suffer from the disease of addiction to drugs and alcohol, this second step can apply to anyone who is addicted to anything. How would you respond to this? And I mean you could be a pedophile, you could be a thief, you could be a gambler, shoplifter, overeating. This step, we came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. As a matter of fact, I'm going to put it like this. When I used a drink or drug, I came to believe that this drink or this drug could take me outside of myself and I feel good about it. What about you all? That's what happened to me. Whenever I took a drink or drug, I did it because I wanted to get outside of myself and feel good about it.
Yeah.
And that was
I use the 12 steps in other areas of my life, with my eating, with my fear. Sometimes you have anxiety, or have had anxiety, and 12 steps help me with that. Well, I don't want to tell you all my defects, but there's quite a few things, and I know. And I think the idea for me, what I have to understand with that second step, I think what you said is right, Basha. It works because while I was drinking, and I used too. Okay, cocaine was my thing, but I what really had me was that drink. But anyway, as I was drinking and drugging and all that, I was the king. I was all about me. I just thought I knew best for me. I thought I could work it out, fix things, and so on and so forth. And once I got into AA and started working the 12 steps, that second step, what I have to, so when I'm dealing with my eating and things like that, I come to believe that there's there are other systems out there. There are other things that I can get myself. You don't know because you overweight. Okay, you need to follow what this book's saying, what this people are saying, and just take yourself out of the way. If I'm having anxiety, I have to read and just trust it. That this is not the way I'm supposed to be feeling, and I will also put into all that with the help of God. Philippians says, "I can do all things through Christ, which strengthens me." That there's nothing that we cannot overcome if we come to believe.
Okay. One of the things that I have come to believe, and I'm a Christian personally, but my Christianity, I drop that at the door when I come into a 12-step program. And when I say I drop it at the door, I mean to say I drop it from acknowledging it when I come into the rooms, whether it's AA or NA. But at the same time, I embrace it. And this book, Serenity, that I quoted from in the beginning, has a New Testament that relates to a step and a scripture with this for the second step. When we talk about the second step, it has a scripture that it relates to where we need to have a power greater than ourselves. When I feel like I'm getting sick or I have a pain in my back, I'll pray to the God of my understanding. I'll pray to the God that I serve, who is God through Jesus Christ, to help to heal my back. But this is not a religious broadcast. This is not a religious program. And many people, whenever they hear people talking about God, their mind goes to religion. I know mine did. When I first came in the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous and they were talking about God, I was ticked off because I thought that God had forsaken me being a pastor. Why do I have to spend so much money on cocaine, and why do I have to smoke marijuana? Why do I have to steal around in my house? You know, I couldn't smoke in front of my wife because she was a teetotaler. She didn't drink, she didn't smoke, none of that. But then I didn't understand my experience with drugs and alcohol until after I came out of that, after I came into the fellowship, and I realized that God wanted to use me to bring a message of hope to people without reservation. And the reason why I'm saying that is because there's some people who would not come on this format because of the 12th tradition. Anonymity is the spiritual foundation of all of our traditions, ever reminding us to place principles before personalities. But the way I look at it, the anonymity, the bearing no name, is I can't tell the public that I saw Betsy in a meeting. I can't tell somebody else that Dewberry is an alcoholic because I'm breaking his anonymity. But I can tell people about my story. However, it takes a certain amount of maturity to be able to do that. It takes a certain amount of maturity for both of you all to come on here to show your face and say, this is where I am. This is where I was. Because let's face it, if somebody hadn't mentioned NA to me outside of a meeting, I would have never known to come to a meeting. Somebody, and then I found out about AA. And I found out that alcohol was a drug. I didn't know that. I mean, I got degrees up to yang yang. Been to schools around this country, but I was ignorant of the fact that alcohol is a drug. Jack, Betsy, you said it. You said you had 17 years?
Yes.
But then you relapsed?
That was very, very uncomfortable, yes. I had to use opiates for back surgery, and I forgot that opiates are a drug too. It was humiliating. I was embarrassed. I got shunned in the rooms, and I went out for a 9-year relapse. And during that relapse, I lost everything. You know, I lost my husband, died of hepatitis C. The list just went on. I could no longer work, but I knew the NA was there, you know. And when I came back, the first thing they did to me, they gave me a hug, and they said, "We thought you were going to die." You know, they couldn't help me.
If you had to go through that experience all over again, what would you do different?
Well, they didn't fix my back. Maybe I wouldn't even have had the surgery. I ended up with 4 of them, and I still am in a lot of pain. And I deal with it with absolutely nothing but, God, please help me. God, please help me. Because
the literature says that whenever we going to have an operation or going or dealing with medical things, we need to tell people that we're addicts and alcoholics. Did you tell them?
Yes. And it was during those days of pain management when they were pushing that stuff. And they said, well, it's by prescription. It's okay. And they kept upping me. And the levels that they were giving me should have killed me.
Yeah.
Should have killed me.
Okay. So you're a testimony.
Oh, yes. And I'm back and I'm doing much, much better. And I can't even take ibuprofen. And I just live with the pain, and I'm grateful that I'm still here.
Okay. Wonderful. Where did you first get your glimpse and know that a higher power was working in your life?
When the obsession was lifted. When the obsession was lifted and I no longer wanted to use drugs.
And how did that happen? That overnight? Did you just one day wake up and, what had you been doing for this obsession? And this is for both of you all, because we want to help some people who are listening.
I'm not sure it was overnight. I guess maybe I woke up one day and I didn't want to get high. The thought of using repulsed me. I knew there was a better life. I got introduced to Narcotics Anonymous through the court system. I had a DWI, and I was angry at first, but then I realized it was a blessing. It was a blessing, and all my friends were there. All my friends I hadn't seen in years were in the rooms, and it was like a high school reunion, and it still is sometimes.
So you got a DWI, and they said that you had to go to AA?
AA or NA. And it was wonderful. And back then there was 1 or 2 meetings a week in Glen Burnie, Maryland, and you were there every single night. And, if you were missing from a meeting, they were calling you. We were very small and we were very tight, and it was very like a family. NA has become my family. Because my family's pretty sick.
Okay. I think one of the most powerful things that can happen, whether you're in the church or in the rooms of AA or in the rooms of NA, Narcotics Anonymous, Alcoholics Anonymous, or the church, whatever our ailment is, if we become a part of that organization or those meetings, we see and hear people who have been delivered. That's the way we used.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't just wake up one day and what was your drink of choice? Your drink of choice, Dewberry?
Well, I drink it. Your drink. Well, whoever buy. But vodka was my mainstay.
Vodka.
I thought people couldn't smell it, whatever.
Right, but somehow or another, somebody told you or introduced you to vodka.
Yeah.
My first introduction to vodka was through a lie. They said, if you're going to drink vodka because it won't do what?
Smell.
It won't smell on your breath. That's the biggest lie in the world.
The biggest lie.
Have you heard that lie too, Betsy?
Yes.
I believed it. Somebody introduced me to that. So I went on a lie, and when I went to the bar at the age of 17 and ordered a half a pint of vodka, Smirnoff vodka,
yeah.
I was taking it to the party because it wouldn't smell on my breath when I came home. My parents wouldn't smell it. And unfortunately, with me, and it's kind of funny today, that was the first time I ever took a drink, and it was snowing. And I went to the party, my buddy's house, and I took the half a pint, stuck it in the snow outside, went in the party because I wanted to get cold. That's my thinking. And so after I was in the party, maybe half an hour, 45 minutes, I said, okay, it ought to be good and cold by now. I went outside. First time I ever took a drink now. Uncapped the bottle. And inside of 5 minutes, I drank the whole thing. All right. So I didn't have to worry about the smelling when I got home, because I'm in the basement of the party back there. This was like 1968, 1967. and the strobe lights, and I'm down in the party, and all of a sudden somebody hollers down the steps. They said, and I had a nickname when I was in college called Duke. They said, Duke, come upstairs. So I'm down there, man. I had this black mohair sweater on. I'm sweating like I don't know what. And I stumbled upstairs. Guess who's sitting there in the living room on the couch? My mother. Oh, my goodness. So that lie, I was drunk. I didn't have to worry about this. She smelling on me. She could see it. And all of us have had some situations like that. But when we came into the rooms, we heard people testify about how they got over. Okay, we've got a couple of people listening. If you have a question, you have a concern, share it with us. Vanessa, if you got something, in the meantime, I want you to know that we're here every first Wednesday of the month from 6 to 7 p.m. And when we're on from 6 to 7 p.m., it's also on Facebook. We're on YouTube at Hope Alive Outreach, and we're on our website at hopealiveoutreach.org. So if you want to look at it later on, you can go to our website, hopealiveoutreach.org, or you can go to Facebook, the Facebook page, to Hope Alive Outreach, or to the Hope Doctor, and you can see this. Also, if you want to get into detox, you want to get into treatment, you can give me a call, 443-250-9635. That's 443-250-9635. Families, if you want to be able to have a confidential session, counseling session, spirituality, share with me about what's going on in your families, and you want to get some help and some hope for a loved one, give me a call, 443-250-9635. Or you can email me at Prophet Basha, PROPHET, Prophet Basha at AOL.com. If you want to get some more information on what addiction is, we're running a special on my new book. It's called Beyond the Pipe and the Pulpit. You can get it at Amazon or Barnes and Noble. It's $15, but if you get it during the Black History Month, during the month of February, it's $13 through my website, or two for $20. And that website is hopealiveoutreach.org, hopealiveoutreach.org. And my book, The Pipe and the Pulpit, the first book, right now you can get it on the website. It's normally $11.95, but you can get it for $8.95 or 2 for $15 during Black History Month. If you want to donate to our outreach, if you want to help us, because all of the apparatus that we have, it costs something. You can send us a donation through Cash App, PayPal, through our website, and we greatly would appreciate that. The shirt that I have on, it's called the Hope Doctor shirt, Hope Doctor T-shirt, and we're running a special on it. It was regularly $23.95, but if you get it during the month of February, it'll be $15. Now let's get back to the second step. If we have about 10 more minutes, if anyone has a question and you're on, I don't see any questions as of yet. But when was the first time that you had anything to do with God in your life? I mean, that you even heard about higher power and you began to embrace it? Herb?
Well, first time I had, like I said, I did not grow up in a church home or anything, but I was in the Army station in Germany, and just kind of started going. I think I had my first child, so I figured I better be a better guy than what I was, and I started going to church, and during that time, I had a calling to go into ministry. And got out of the Army and went to seminary. But I want to, if I can, Basha, it jumped back to what you was asking about the coming to. When I came to the room, the AA was my higher power. Even though, I was ministry, been a seminary, had a MD, all that stuff. You're right. That fellowship is what saved me. AA saved me. And so today I have people who are in my ministry and all, they say, well, why you keep saying you're alcoholic? You don't drink anymore, do you? I said, no, I don't drink, but I'm an alcoholic. If you give me a drink, if I drink it, you'll find very quickly that I got a problem. And I tried to say to them, and they said, why you still go to AA? And I said, AA saved me and saving me in that is and this is me speaking, that is the only place where I could just be totally for real about who I am.
Yeah.
When I do it in the church, they say, oh, you're a reverend. You ain't supposed to be doing that, or you shouldn't have done that. Like you asked me, right. Bosh, have you ever been drunk in the pulpit? A lot of pastors probably have, not a lot, but some have, and hopefully not a lot. And but you won't say it in public, But that was the freeing thing I had in the rooms of AA. I didn't have to talk no church talk. I had to, for a while they didn't even know, that I was in the church. But it wasn't. I really wasn't connected to God that way. Like you said, Basha, I felt like God had just let me keep drinking. He wasn't trying to stop me. And AA was that higher power for me.
Yes. Yeah. The support. It's a support system.
That I came to believe in.
And it's a support system. And I was in a meeting last night because I had talked with Bessie a couple of nights ago, and she had reminded me about this meeting here in St. Pete. And when I got there, I was really surprised because the last time I had been to that meeting, this meeting it might have 15 people in there at the most. But last night, it had to be 40, 50 people in there. I was surprised. And the camaraderie. Just being in there, what was it? Cheers, something where it said, well, you'll know if you belong. What was that?
Yeah.
You know if you belong? Yeah, and everybody knows your name. My wife just told me this.
Everybody knows.
My wife just told me, thank God for wives. Because her hand. She's my producer. Yes, she helps to produce our children too. Because I was drinking and drugging, when we were married for 7 years, but all she knew about was the drink. It took 7 years for her to find out about the drug, and that was and she conducted a intervention in my life. How did you first come into the rooms of AA, Bessie?
Oh, like I said, it was a special invitation by the judge, but I believe he saved my life. Yes. He saved my life, and I've never had this sense of camaraderie or this sense of friendship that I have in NA.
And how old were you?
29. Okay. 29. And like I said, all my friends from high school were there. It was very, very, we were a big family. And I just had a tragedy with my daughter, and my phone has been ringing off the hook.
Can you remember your first drink? What happened? Where you were?
Oh, yeah. I was cutting school in the 9th grade, and it was my friend was having a big party, and I drank a bottle of Boone's Farm strawberry wine.
Ooh.
And I puked all over the place.
Boone's Farm?
Yes, it was horrible.
But you were in Baltimore.
I was in the suburbs, but yes, I was in the 9th grade, and it was horrible. And I threw up all over the place on this girl's white carpet.
Really?
And I was hung over for days, but I couldn't wait to do it again.
Really?
Yes.
Really? So if you drank Boone's Farm, I know you heard of Thunderbird.
Oh yeah. Yeah. In the process of drinking all those years, I realized that I couldn't drink anything but beer. But my last DWI, I blew a .24 just drinking beer. So
Really?
anything I drank to, to a obsessive. I drank way too much.
And you said that you also dealt with some opioids. Heroin would be in that category.
Well, remember, I hurt my back. All my drugs were from prescriptions, but the doctor was my drug dealer.
Really?
Yes, and he gave me the good stuff, but it was really the bad stuff, and it was killing me.
Do you think that he knew? Do you think that he knew that he was your drug supplier?
They all knew it was about the almighty dollar.
Okay.
There was no reason to give me fentanyl patches. There was no reason to give me the amounts they were giving me. They were making dollars, and my company that I worked for was paying for it because I had hurt myself at work.
That's right. Because were you in Florida then?
No, I was in Maryland. I retired. Yeah, I retired after 23 years there because I could no longer work with my back being so hurt.
Herb, when was the first time you had a drink and the first time you had a drug? Can you remember?
Yeah, I was at Morgan and I was playing some basketball with some guys. Eventually became PRs and all, but we were freshmen. We were the summer before freshman year, and we were playing basketball. And we bought quarts of Coke 45, and it was 6 of us, and we had six quarts laid up there. And so we played for a while. We got all sweaty and everything. And one of the guys, you may know him, Bosch, but he has passed away. He took a quart of beer, a Coke 45, and drunk it straight down. I thought that was the coolest thing I ever seen. I couldn't wait to get to mine. I got mine, and I got about 3/4 of the way down. I couldn't get it all the way down.
Right.
But the sweat from the bottle and the cool feeling and all, it's the greatest thing, man. I was
Right.
off to the races after that.
You didn't get drunk?
Drinking, huh?
You didn't get drunk?
I got high. I didn't get. I might have called myself drunk then, but I found what drunk was later on.
Okay. What about the first drug? The first drug can you remember?
Was marijuana? Yeah. High school. Definitely once I got to Morgan, I smoked every day. In fact, when I went into the Army, I was getting ready to get out, and I wanted to be at the FBI, and I called the FBI and said, look, I got a degree in business, and I've been 5 years in the Army as a captain, And they said, look, we're going to cut to the chase here. He says, we're going to do a thorough background check on you. I said, okay, cool. I said, I don't have no problem with the law. And he said, no, we're going to check on everything and drugs. He said, really? If anybody said that they seen you even one time smoke any, even just one joint, we ain't going any further. I said, well, I've been talking to you. I think we done. Because everybody knew I was ahead, boy.
That was the end of your FBI.
Yeah, I don't think I went to school sober at Morgan. I finished in 4 years because of that ROTC scholarship, and I wanted to go in the Army. But I was high every day.
Yeah. Well, we've come to the close of our broadcast. What I'd like for you to do to give some specific hope to some persons who are listening. If there's anything that you can say to someone who is out there, they're an addict or an alcoholic, they don't know what to do, and they've been trying to get sober, they've been trying to get clean for a while, what would you tell them, Bessie?
When I went to treatment, they asked me what I was looking for, and I told them all I ever wanted was peace of mind. And eventually, I got that peace of mind. And I live every single day with hope and faith, knowing that I never have to use again. I never have to use again. And that's the freedom that we were promised.
So what would you tell them to do to get that hope, get that freedom?
Get clean. get clean, stop using, stop using, get a sponsor, go to meetings, work the steps. Very, very important. Get involved in service. Service meaning just helping set up a meeting or whatever. But as long as you do the right thing, you never, ever have to use again.
Right. And
I promise.
If you want to know more about that process after this meeting, you can give me a call, 443-250-9635. And we'll give that's going across the screen right now. Dewberry, somebody out there is listening. So some young man, young woman, they've been listening to the broadcast. You know, they may have a Coke 45 in their hand and they don't want to drink it. And they might have a pipe down there on the table. What could you tell them to give them some hope?
Well, I will give them two questions that really got me into the rooms. I heard a couple of times, but the first question was, if you drink more and you don't want to drink, for instance, if I say I'm not going to drink tomorrow, but I find myself that I can't stop drinking, most likely I got a problem. Or if I'm drugging, if I can't stop using, even though I'm telling myself I don't want to do it, and I keep doing it, most likely I'm addicted. The other thing is, if I do it and I say I'm only going to have, let's say, just 1/4 Coke 45, but I find myself doing that and still going out and getting some more beer on a regular. When I came to grips with that, I need to stop lying to myself. I can't stop. And that's what got me into the room. So I would say, do the test yourself. And if you can't pass the test, be honest with yourself and go get some help. As Betsy said, it's a whole lot better in sobriety and cleanness.
Yes,
great life.
All righty. Well, I thank you so much for being with us this evening. And those persons who are listening, please share this message of hope on your Facebook page or Messenger or wherever you are on social media, because somebody needs to have this hope. I'm Dr. Basha P. Jordan Jr., the pastor and founder of Hope Alive Outreach, and we're here today giving a message of hope, a dose of hope to those who suffer from the disease of addiction, primarily drugs and alcohol, and their families. If you'd like to contact me, you can contact me at my email, and that's prophetbasha@aol.com, PROPHET, prophetbasha@aol.com, or you can call me direct, 443-250-9635. It's on the screen right now, 443-250-9635. And don't forget, if you'd like to get one of my books, one or both of them, right now you can get them during the month of February at a reduced price at my website, www.hopealiveoutreach.org. I'm Dr. Jordan. And remember, no matter what's going on with you today, there is hope for you. I'm the Hope Doctor. See you this time next month. Okay. Still on.